Greetings, fellow traditionalist Catholics. This is Sergio Becerra II, and welcome back to my channel. So today for this video, I'm going to discuss both the prophecies and revelations of Our Lady of Good Success and Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich that, that foresaw the horrors of the heretical Vatican II sect. So, uh, first things first, we're going to talk about some of the prophecies of Our Lady of Good Success because that's that was one of the things that was foresaw first before we later proceed with Anne Catherine Emmerich. So, Our Lady of Good Success, an apparition of our of the whole of the Blessed Mother, warning of the forecoming of Vatican II. Now, I tried doing some research on this matter, couldn't find much, but only quotes regarding the horrors of Vatican II, the changes within the Church, knowing that it was going to be under the control of Freemasons, and how the way things are under priests. So I'm going to read a couple of quotes. Now, these apparitions said to begin in the late 1500s, sometime in the late 1590s, I would say. I tried doing as much as I could, but then there were a couple other quotes that I found that were said by our, our Lady of Good Success in the year 1610. So I'm going to read the first one off my phone right here. In 1610, Our Lady of Good Success warned, "Surely after the middle of the 20th century, the Catholic spirit will rapidly decay. The sacrament of matrimony will be attacked and deeply profaned. Depraved priests will scandalize the Christian people. Priests will become careless in their sacred duties. Innocence will almost no longer be found in children, nor modesty in women. Those who possess great wealth will indifferently stand by and watch the church being oppressed. This then will be the happy beginning of the complete restoration." So, what Our Lady of Good Success is saying, by the start of Vatican, by the start of Vatican II, and everything, things within the world start to change. Saying that the sacrament of marriage will begin to decay and will be attacked, which we like here in the United States, we have noticed the attack of marriage on the traditional family, which we call the nuclear family. Which I don't know why we call it the nuclear family. I haven't gotten a chance to look that up. Why we call it the nuclear family instead of the traditional family? So between marriage and having a family, that's under assault. People that just don't that really just want to see a radical change get rid of it for whatever reason. And let's see. The priests will scandalize the Christian people. Well, we have seen a lot of priests under scrutiny for scandals, such as all the child sex abuse cases we've noticed. Of course, they're careless within their duties. Of course, I've heard a lot of stories regarding priests having not only having sexual encounters with women, especially inappropriate things within their parishes, but then of course some priests are known to be sodomites, which things which I've heard stories of many years ago. Of course, that's a problem. And let's see what else. Innocence will almost no longer be found in children, nor modesty in women. Well, a lot of children have been victimized by sexual abuse by priests. That's the thing. That's one thing. That's another thing that I just talked about priests getting themselves in scandals, and of course, and then now with the innocence of children being depraved, which is that's true because priests have come under fire because the child sex abuse scandals, and of course, bishops, cardinals, even up to the papacy have already begun covering up all up. Nor modesty in women. Yeah, women today no longer showing any true femininity, like being true women. Women have now gone into trying to find the words. Well, I know the word, but trying to get it more explained. They become feminists. No longer women of true femininity, being true women in a more passionate way. Women have now become total feminists, meaning they want to show the same amount of strength as men do in by all means that they can be as they can be tough and just as strong as men do, but feminism is what I begin to hear is like dying out. It's like no one's taking it serious anymore. So, but still, uh, th- I mean, I as a 35-year-old, I mean, I'm single, not married. I've noticed that women today, it's just a total shock, and it's like even hard for me to find a woman in this day and age that shows true femininity without having to show this radical liberal feminist nonsense, which is which is insane. And lastly, it says those who possess great wealth will indefinitely stand by and watch the church be oppressed. While we're seeing oppression within the church across the world, seeing actual uh, genocide of Christians in parts of the world, but then we're seeing some oppression here in the United States. The way the church is just under assault by a lot of radical groups that are in favor of sodomy, so-called same-sex rights, um, abortion, the way how they're attacking the church because we're not changing our views, and they're attacking us. They're attacking us because we don't accept it. They're attacking us because, well, let's see, we don't accept abortion, and that we don't stand by it, which is all I can say. But yet, all I can say is we're just being attacked and mocked because we don't accept today's modern society, what has evolved and which is completely immoral. That's why. But what she's saying is that we are seeing what she's saying there will come a time we'll see a great restoration within the church, which is all I can say. So yeah, priests are going to be scandalized. The church will start to decay. Innocents of children are going to be gone. Women not as feminine as we're seeing today. Like very little. I mean, there are some countries around the world that show women showing their full femininity, but here in the United States and other parts of the world, it's just crazy. And then, of course, those with great wealth who hate the church, want to see it decay, big time. Which, of course, I live in California. Those who live in Hollywood that hate the church, especially the Roman Church, they want to they want to see it get torn down. But of course, because all of Hollywood is nothing more than a bunch of uh, nothing more but a bunch of Freemasons. That's it. Believe me, like I said, I live in California. I live in a town about an hour away from Los Angeles, especially Hollywood. Just about every celebrity is involved with Freemasonry, involved with the Freemasons, and they want the church done away with, and they hate the church because we don't accept sodomy and we don't accept abortion, and yet it's being oppressed because we reject and don't accept, and yet we're being attacked because we, which is the truth. We find abortion to be wrong. It is against the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not kill, which is what I'm trying to point out. Now, the next quote I'm going to read here is this is from Our Lady of Good Success. This knowledge will only become known to the general public in the 20th century. During the epoch, during, during the epoch, the Church will find herself attacked by terrible hordes of the Masonic sect. So yes, Our Lady of Good Success prophesies that the Vatican II Council will be under the control and started by Freemasons. And there is evidence by many people that have talked about that the church that the church will change under Vatican II. So therefore, mid 20th century, the church will find herself attacked by the terrible hordes of the Masonic sect. So yeah, that is the prophecies and revelations of Our Lady of Good Success, that the church will change under Vatican II, and it will be under the control of Freemasons. So yeah, those are the only quotes I found regarding Our Lady of Good Success that started from the late 16th century now into the early 17th century. I'm trying to find, okay, uh, I've saved a lot of these quotes so far. I'm trying to find, I know I saved some more. Okay. Okay, so let's move on to now blessed the blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. So I'm just gonna read read her short story from Wikipedia right here. Anne Catherine Emmerich. Let me see. Born 8 September 1774, died 9 February 1824, age 49. So let me just read this. Was a Roman Catholic Augustinian canonist of the congregation of the Windsheim. During her lifetime, she was a purported mystic, Marian visionary, and stigmatist. So not only a canonist, but was also a nun for the Order of St. Augustine. And then, of course, she was among the many who had experienced the stigmata, which are the wounds of Christ. And here's a picture of it right here from Wikipedia. It shows her with bandages around her head, and she's got blood coming from her hands, which are coming from the wounds, and she's staring down at a crucifix. You can see it right here. I mean, you can barely see like the drop of blood coming from her hands because of the wounds. And I have read one of her books. Now, even though she was bedridden and because of the wounds, she couldn't do much. So she had a poet, trying to find the name. Here we go. The poet, Clemens Maria Brentano. Okay, born Electorate of Trier, Holy Roman Empire, Aschaffenburg, Germany. Okay, so this is okay. Yeah, born in Germany. Okay, another German woman was a German poet and novelist. Okay, so we have a poet by the name of Clemens uh Brentano. So all the visions and revelations from Emmerich he wrote down for her because, like I said, she was bedridden, and because of the stigmata, she couldn't do much. She couldn't do anything. So everything was handwritten by him from what Emmerich had said. So she too foresaw Vatican II from her visions. Like I said, I have read one of her books, the Dolorous Passion of Our Lord Jesus Christ, which talked about her visions, talking about Christ's passion. Now, I did do a book review on Emmerich's book on the Passion because it first starts off with meditations regarding the Last Supper, and then the Jesus' final moments praying in the Garden of Olives, and then proceeds into the actual chapters from the moment of his arrest up until his resurrection. Because I had talked about this back in 2021. Um, if You can find that video. I know I did a video on that. If you're willing to find it, I didn't save it like on a playlist. You're just gonna have to scroll through my videos going back to 2021 on that book review. So yeah, Emmerich, a German nun of the Augustinian order, who was a mystic, Marian, let's see, a Marian visionary and stigmata regarding the wounds of Christ. Now, again, she did have revelations regarding Vatican II, what she saw. Of course, she does mention the relationship between anti-popes Benedict XVI and Francis, because because during Francis's so-called pontificate, Benedict XVI, who had resigned and retired, still living in the Vatican, still wearing the usual white papal vestments of what a pope would wear, even though Francis, not a true pope, too was usurping the chair of Peter. So there's some quotes that I have saved that I want to talk about. So not only did she see the relationship between Benedict XVI and Francis, but other things regarding Vatican II, the changes that were coming. So we're going to start with this first quote that I have right here. I saw also the relationship. I saw also the relationship between the two popes. I saw how baleful, evil, harmful would be the consequences of this false church. I saw it increase in size. Heretics of every kind came into the city of Rome. Once more I saw the church of Peter was undermined by a plan evolved by the secret sect Masonry, while storms were damaging it. So yes, she foresaw the relationship between anti-popes Benedict XVI and Francis. And then, of course, the church would be under assault and taken over by the Freemasons. And how radically changed the church went. Again, as I have said, and then, of course, the Diamond Brothers of Vatican Catholic, they have said Vatican II is not of the real Catholic Church. It is an end times counter church, a counterfeit church of the of it is a counterfeit Catholic Church, not the real Catholic Church. Let me read again. Parts halfway up would be the consequences of this false church. I saw it increase in size. Heretics of every kind came into the city of Rome. As we all know, everything fell to heresy and apostasy. We were allowing all their false religions from Islam, Buddhism, you name it, and of course, um, false religions of pagan faiths, like the Pachamamas, you name it. They were allowed into under Vatican II. They were welcome into the church. Even Protestants, which is a heretical Christian sect, and then of course the schismatic Eastern Orthodox churches, they were welcome in too, even though the Church of Rome have been in disputes with Protestants all for the last few centuries since Luther and Henry VIII in the 16th century. And then, of course, the schismatic Eastern Orthodox Church going all the way back to the Great Schism of 1054. So that was one of the things in regards to Vatican II. Now, another quote I'm going to read right here from Emmerich. Okay, Blessed Emmerich on Vatican II, New Church. Very bad times will come when non-Catholics, Martinists, will lead many people astray. A great confusion will result. I saw that many pastors allowed themselves to be taken up with ideas that were dangerous to the church. They were building a great, strange, and extravagant church. Everyone was to be admitted in it in order to be united and have equal rights. Evangelist Catholic sects of every description. Such was to be the new church, but God had other designs. So she also foresaw the dangers within Vatican II. As she says right here, they were building a great church, strange and extravagant church. In other words, Vatican II, a false church, a false sect, not the true Catholic Church. And then, of course, she mentions everyone was to be admitted in it in order to be united and have equal rights. So, therefore, like we saw under Francis, we allowed heretics, people of immoralities, like sodomites, so called equal same sex rights. We were allowing other people of the entire quote unquote LGBTQ community within the church. What we saw under Francis, now with Leo the 14th, they wanted everything to be more inclusive, which the church has taught against such so-called human rights. And if you're a true Catholic like I am, that take the faith seriously, having same-sex rights, and especially the entire LGBT community, are not human rights. They are immoral. They are immoral and demonic, and it's very dangerous, I would say. Evangelicals, Catholic sects of every description, such was to be the new church. So therefore, we were welcoming evangelicals, even Protestants, because now that we were more opening up because the church was more opening up under Vatican II. It wasn't just all these false religions, including the false Christian sects within Protestantism and Eastern Orthodox. Secularism was another big issue too, because we were getting more involved with secularism. So yeah, that's another huge thing. Here we go. Here's another one. Weak in terms of the number of his adherents and his supporters, humans but strong by the will displayed, had overthrown so many gods. I knew the number and united so many cults in a single cult. So therefore, under Francis, the Vatican II sect, an end times counter church, not the true Catholic Church, as I have kept saying over and over again, is a counterfeit church pretending to be the Catholic Church. It is nothing more than a cult started by the Freemasons that have now taken over the Holy Roman Church. And with Francis, under his rule under the time, even though he was not the true pope, he has allowed a lot of heretical things. Everything heretical, and everything else that was apostasy, allowing all these other false religions to be welcomed in. And under Francis, he kept saying, all religions lead to God. That is apostasy. That is heresy. False religions like Islam, Buddhism, Shintoism, all other false sects, even pagan practices like the Pachamamas, even those kinds of things. He claimed that all religions will go to God, and he thinks that hell is already empty. Nope. All these false religions from all over the world will lead you straight to hell. As it is said in the Bible, commandment number 1, I am the Lord your God, and you shall have no other gods before me. There is only one God, and we must accept him, not these false religions. And that's another thing. I know that Vatican Catholic has talked about this regarding religious liberty. I know they quoted Pope Gregory the 16th on religious liberty. if I remember correctly, that allowing people to convert to other religions, claiming to be the true religion, is completely insane. That was what Pope Gregory the 16th had said. No Vatican Catholic has talked about Gregory the 16th regarding Gregory's encyclical Memori Vos, not just religious liberty, but also free speech. Even on the top of this quote, I'm saying, "Blessed and Catherine Emmerich's two popes, a vision for our times." So yeah, Benedict the 16th and Francis, she's talked about. There's another quote, if I could find it. No, I think that was it right there. Oh no, here's one more. Oh wait a minute, no. There's two more. The church is in the church is in great danger. We must pray so that the Pope may not leave Rome. Countless evils would result if he did. They are now demanding they are now de- they are now demanding something from him. The Protestant doctrine and that of the schismatic Greeks are to spread everywhere. I now see that in this place, Rome, the Catholic Church is being so cleverly undermined that there hardly remain 100 or so priests who have not been deceived. They all work for destruction, even the clergy. A great devastation is now near at hand. So yeah, another thing from Emmerich. Where loud Protestants and the Greeks have been welcomed into Rome, spreading their false Christian ideology, their false theology, being allowed into the church. She says here, there are hardly there hardly remain 100 or so priests who have not been deceived. So it sounds like from what I just read right here from she said, hardly remain 100 or so priests who have not been deceived. So therefore, there could be some true priests that have not been deceived by Vatican II. I think that is what she is saying. But still, the this false clergy we see right now is just it's just bringing the church down completely. Francis did a great number on it. Now with Leo the 14th, who knows? I know there are plenty other things that Vatican Catholic, the Diamond Brothers have talked about. I'll leave that to them regarding more heresies and apostasies that they have said, which even I have said. Other things that they have quoted the Bible from the Book of Apocalypse, which a lot of has already been fulfilled already, such as John Paul II's assassination attempt, Benedict XVI's resignation. That's already been fulfilled. Other things that Brother Peter Diamond has already talked about. So yes. And then one more. This is the last. I saw a strange church being built against every rule. It is probably a church or human creation following the latest fashion. So yeah, she saw the Vatican II sect being taken over and under the control of Freemasons. Therefore, Vatican II was going to bring down the true Catholic Church down. Yeah, she foresaw that this false church was going to be built, started under anti-Pope John the 23rd, and then finally uh, verified and completed under anti-Pope Paul VI. Yeah, so that is much I have talked about right here regarding Anne Catherine Emmerich. So yeah, these are the prophecies and revelations of Our Lady of Good Success and Blessed Anne and Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich. Now, I have talked about this in my last two videos, if I were Pope, and this would be it. I would canonize Anne Catherine Emmerich as a saint, thanking her for her revelations and for seeing Vatican II. We were warned, but my personal question is, why did we ignore it? I tried looking up as much information as I can. I don't know if the church didn't take these revelations serious regarding Our Lady of Good Success, but in regards to Emmerich, the church did question for the last 2 centuries whether her revelations were accurate because she had her works done at the hands of a poet, which the church didn't take too serious with, as far as I know. So even though she had saw visions of the life of the Virgin Mary, and then of course the visions of our Lord's Passion. Yeah, she did have visions regarding the life of the Virgin Mary, where she was born, in the house she grew up in, and of course our Lord's Passion. Now, I haven't read most of her books regarding the Virgin Mary's life, but only um, the Dolores Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ regarding Jesus' passion and all that. That is far. That is like the only book I've read. I know there's books out there that I want to get my hands on and look into, start reading them. Because I have been so far been a big admirer to her work. I have not read most of her books yet, but from what I've been researching, I've now become so much of a huge admirer to her work because her revelations did foretell Vatican II, even though I've only read her book on our Lord's Passion. And that's like my all-time favorite right there. So not only did Our Lady of Good Success foresaw Vatican II, Emmerich foresaw Vatican II, but Our Lady of L'Isalot in France did foretell Vatican II, saying Rome will lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. So yeah, that is about it right there. I would have done 2 separate videos on the revelations of Our Lady of Good Success first, and then lastly with Emmerich. But I figured just do 2 in 1, which is this video right here. So that is far as much as I can tell. We have already now have the proof that the Vatican II sect is not the true Catholic Church. It is an anti counter church. It is a counterfeit Catholic Church, not the true traditional Catholic Church that was started by Jesus Christ. Christianity started under Jesus Christ, but the Catholic Church being founded by Jesus Christ, making Saint Peter his disciple as the first pope. From Saint Peter all the way to Pope Pius XII as the last true pope. We don't have any true pope right now. From John the 23rd now to Leo the 14th, they are not the true popes. They are anti-Catholic, non-Catholic, heretical Vatican II sect anti-popes, which is what I'm trying to say here. I'm going to repeat one more time, like I just said it just a couple of minutes ago. If I were Pope, I would canonize Emmerich as a saint. I said this in my last 2 videos regarding the death of Francis, and then why am I a Sedevacantist? I would do that by thanking her for what she had foresaw and was telling the world, but somehow we've forgotten it, and somehow in my own personal belief, why we ignored it. We were warned, but personally, in my own personal belief, somehow we ignored it, and yet this was allowed to happen. I don't know if Vatican II was allowed to happen, but in my own opinion, in my personal belief, we could have done something to prevent it. But yet here we are. We have another anti-pope by the name of Leo the 14th, and we don't know when we're going to get the church back on track again. It all depends. So you guys tell me in the comments below. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell below. and tell me what you think. All right, that wraps it up. So take care. Great day now, and have a blessed day. Bye.